Going live. Oh my God, Cobus,
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everybody.
Let's quickly see
Is
it up
it
here.
morning?
Yeah,
It is. Well, it's 11 a.m.
it's technically morning.
I'm still on my first coffee, so
And
it's technically morning. So,
no, my third one's empty already.
oh, I have my
Yeah, it's been
first
one of
one
those
here.
mornings. Yeah. So let's start off with saying welcome, people. This is
Welcome,
another
people.
edition of Bean Streaming.
Yes.
And we are in the process of using AWS CDK to define a container-based app running on ECS. And what we want to get done at the end of it is to be able to set up a second CDK repository that'll actually provide a pipeline for us to put this CDK repository into, and then automatically be able to run our infrastructure changes for us. So we're first going to work on just getting the app up and running to confirm that, yes, our service is working. Then we're going to put it in a pipeline, and then we're going to show you how you can make changes to that CDK repo and the actual source code next to it, and then just commit that, and then it'll roll out automatically. But for today, we are getting. Last time we ended with the container running, so we're gonna.
Yeah, I think so. Last time where last we left off is I think we've managed to launch a sample container on our system. So well, actually, let me share the screen, and I think I can do something here with the screen. If I do that, and then switch over to this, and then plug this in. So
magic buttons.
Magic buttons, yeah. So one of the things we can do here is actually check out what is what's been done. So for people who are just joining, we do some stuff with CDK. So we're building a complete workload, well-architected workload in the cloud using Cloud Development Kit. So none of this is scripted. We kind of have the vague idea what we want to do, and we just go and do it. So yeah, let's see how it works. Okay, where can we find this? Lib, Beanstream, Stack, this one.
Let me take that away again, sorry.
Find this
I'll
one.
click on banners, and good morning, Rabadoo.
Not Darko and Darko, yes. Try to guess which one. Okay, so what did we do last time? So we created we have a stack, we have a VPC, we have a code commit repository, we have a pipeline, we have a source stage, a build, code build project, a build stage. We have a container repository, which is not being used apparently. We have a ECS cluster, so AWS ECS cluster, where we basically try to figure out, we will host our containers. We have a task definition, we have a container, we have some port mappings, a service with the desired count of 3. So we have 3 containers. We should have 3 containers running. We have a load balancer. I think we
were responsible and tore down our infrastructure at the end last time, didn't we?
Yes, we did, but I was proactive this morning and I've created a new one. So CDK.
Oh wow!
Deploy. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
So,
someone has been awake.
Yeah, CDK deploy will throw a lovely. Come on, be good. Show us the. Oh wow.
I think you need more coffee.
If I put it on this side, okay, that's good. Okay,
there we go.
So pro tip for CDK: if you want to get the outputs again, you can just CDK deploy, and it will not deploy; it will just show the outputs after a while. So just to verify that this works, if I just do this, it works. So it's deployed. We have an application running. So yeah. Not that. Ooh, welcome to the Matrix. Okay, going back to this, listener, targets, and that's it. So today we want to actually deploy our application. EKS is live. This is not EKS. This is ECS. So we're going to be doing ECS today because I am not an EKS person. I don't know how to use that.
So in reference to that comment is Lawrence has been joining us for a couple of sessions, constantly asking us for release dates about EK specifically for Cape Town, and it launched, I believe, yesterday or this morning. I can't remember. I saw it flash past on my list of things, so it is finally live.
Finally live. Well, congratulations, Cobus. It's a boy. Yeah. It's a Kubernetes. Excellent. Okay, cool. So today we're actually going to try to expand on this. We're going to build our own application using something. We're going to make our container. So the goal is that we build this, instead of using the sample application, as you can see here, we want to actually use a proper build application. And I have an example somewhere. I will use a simple, well, for now, we'll make a simple Python application that just is an API. So we will not make anything complex. We will make it more complex as we go along, because to be honest, we don't really know what we're gonna host, what kind of application this is gonna be. So we'll see how that goes. But the goal is that we create this application, we make it buildable, or basically we enable our pipeline to build this application, and we enable our pipeline to deploy this application later on. So so let's get started with that.
And morning Arcane, and thanks Fatboy6 for that link referencing the EKS deployment.
Oh, I know Mr. Fatboy6. He's my good friend. Yeah, okay. This is the first time I see you on stream. Thank you. Or not thank you. I don't know what to say. So let me just have a look if I can find that sample application. I have it, I believe, somewhere in GitHub.
Well, that is going currently. So there's a question by Joe Frickson. Hope I got that right. Multi-account deployment, is it in the pipeline? I know we can do that with CloudFormation. Darko is getting excited.
Cross-account. There was a blog post on August 4th that you can do the AWS CDK credential plugin to use cross-account deploys. So I have not looked into it too much, but apparently there is a way to do it. So there's a lovely blog post by by the CDK.
Here we go.
I think.
Yeah, I'm pasting it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I found it.
And join me next week. I try that out. So that's a separate topic from this one. So we are going to be applying all of those things that you see in that link in a later stage in our adventure, because we want to do definitely multi-account stuff. But so far, apparently it's possible. I have no idea how it works. I see that there's a CDK credential and it uses multiple different credentials basically to deploy to different accounts. So, but yes.
So on that note, when we finish this app and pipeline to do the pipeline with CDK, we are actually going to flip over to Terraform, and I'll teach Darko all the dark secrets there and how we can do this.
So I want to create a small Python application that is basically what I want to create is an application that don't do that. That is Python application is a simple API that says hello world. I mean, we're going to expand on that. It's not going to be a hello world application, but we're going to run that application within a Docker container. So let's actually go ahead and move away, and let's call it, how are we going to call our app? We have never even talked about that. We need to give our application a name. So it's a bean stream because it's a stream, but
3 Bs. Bold bearded beans.
Ooh. Are we going to call it 3 Bs like this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So mkdir 3 ABs repo. Cool. And let's create app.py. So BBB. Yeah, it's basically 3 Bs. So in essence, it's gonna be just a simple. I actually have some code here, so I'm gonna look it up. How I think it should work. So I'm gonna be using Flask. So it's a Flask application that's just going to be an API. So nothing super special. Now I cannot paste it here, but shall I paste this thing? Let me do something. How to make this work? Wait a second. Removing this so I don't cause the matrix. I have this application. I've already used this application on my other thing once. Well, actually, not the application, but the scaffolding. So I want to just grab that here. So,
so does that qualify for a? Oh no, wait. In this session, you're allowed to reference your own stuff without having to put it into the reference jar.
Exactly. I can plug my stuff where I want. Okay.
If you pay.
If I pay. That's how the world works. So, so here it is. It's a minimal Flask application using Flask RESTful. So it's going to complain because there's no Flask. That's fine. But in essence, what it does, it basically says hello stream, right? Or let's call it, instead of stream, hello bean. And that's it. So it's a simple API that does nothing super special. But we're going to be using this as a starting point. We're going to expand on this as we build. So cool. Now, what else do we need to have for our application to be properly running in a Docker container? Anybody in the chat, do you know what do you need to make this thing run in a Docker container?
Well, actually, I don't. So
What? You don't? You do. Come on. Come on.
I will be able to figure it out, but honestly,
There's a file
Yeah.
for Dockers, right? And it's called the Docker file. So
Oh, you mean that? Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the actual commands to run this, because that's what I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Python. Actually, I can hack the crap out of it and script with it, but no, Docker file I know. Luckily,
yeah. So here's a simple lesson in Docker. So to build Docker containers, you need a thing called a Docker file. In a Docker file, you basically determine what image you're going to be using, what code you're going to be copying, and basically what things you're going to be installing. So the simplest way we're going to do it, and please don't hate me, I'm going to be using Docker Python 2.7 because I know it's expired, but I have not tested this code on Python 3.8. So I'm not sure if it's going to work.
So what?
Should we try it?
Why don't we start with 2.7? Make sure that it's working, then we can build the container and run it. Do it locally, and then we go YOLO 3.7.
Sure. Okay.
That's pretty much what I did on a previous project with Ruby. So it was very interesting to figure out where the edges were.
Okay, let's try it. Let's just make sure this works, and then we're gonna go low it. So YOLO it. So copy. Now we have to define copy. So what we are doing here, we're copying the app from the current directory. So we're gonna basically copying the app.py file basically locally to the container. Work there. Let's set up a work directory /app, and then we need to run a command. So because this is Python, we need to install some things. For example, we need to install Flask. So we can do this pip install Flask, but there's a better way to do it. So we can do pip -r requirements, or actually pip install -r requirements.txt. Excellent. So this will basically just install all the requirements, all the modules we need for our application from a file called requirements.txt, which we still have not created. After that, we need to define an entry point. So basically, what is going to be the thing that's going to execute when this container runs? So it's going to be Python, right? And finally, the command, it's going to be app.py, sorry. App.py, like that.
Cool.
So in essence, this maybe should work, but we need to edit requirements txt. Txt, perfect. So what do I need in my requirements? Let me just have a look here. So I'm using Flask and Flask RESTful. So I need two modules called Flask and Flask RESTful. So if I go to here, I just do Flask and Flask RESTful.
So what I do want to say is if we go back to the Docker file quickly, because this is an interesting one that a lot of people aren't as familiar with, is we should cover what the difference between entry point and command is. Because in public images, you often only see command, you don't always see entry point, and that causes a lot of confusion.
Well, so go ahead.
No, you can go. Put you on the spot.
TXT and thing? Oh, it doesn't have to be so somebody's asking a question, why TXT? It doesn't have to be, it's a file. So I just, that requirements.txt, why not? That's how
I think it's a convention.
It's a convention, yeah. So why entry point? So I don't really know the differences here, but I think because of the entry point, because we want to make it consistent, we want to make it persistent. So we make an entry point into Python and then execute the app.py from that entry point. So we're not just running CMD Python app.py. So, but maybe you can expand.
Yeah. The difference there is if you spin up a container, by default, if you specify the command value, the entry point is the first thing that it actually uses, and then it'll actually use what you specify with the command, appending it to the entry point to run. But if you, for example, take a container, say go run that container, and you put something else at the end in terms of a command to execute, then it'll not just run that, it'll take that and append it to the entry point. So in our case, what will happen is if I, for example, want to go into that container and just spin it up with bash, and I just go bin/bin/bash, it won't work because Python will go, hey, I can't, execute the bash binary. So, and that's often the difference with a lot of public containers have got Python app in the command, which means then if you want to do something else, you can actually just add it to the container and do what you want. But you have to explicitly with a flag actually override the entry point if you don't want to use that entry point.
Okay. No, I mean, shamelessly, I've picked this up from an example, so this is not something I built out of my own free will. So, but yeah, it's a fair point. I didn't know that. Like, I know that you use entry point for like some persistence, but yeah.
So this is a better way of doing it, because now what happens is we know this container is meant to run a Python app. So by having the entry point as Python, we know that it'll execute. So if we, as the person using this, want to add additional flags or run a different app, then we just add extra values to it, and then we deal with that.
Correct. Okay, cool. Yeah. Very good. So I have this. I have the requirements. I have my application, and I have my thing. So if I would exit this, actually, no, let me just close this off. Do I have Docker installed? I have Docker installed. So if I Docker build, if I do Docker build this, system
it's not running.
Status Docker.
Docker
is Docker. Docker is not start.
Oh, it's a short password. I know what it is now.
Password 123.
Speaking of that, as a quick random segue into that, they did a study with, so a lot of people have got wearable fitness devices.
Okay.
And they figured out that a lot of people wear that on their dominant hand, given that the non-dominant hand is where you put your watch. So unless the two are combined. And guess what hand you use when you punch in your ATM pin?
Right hand.
And they figured out that from that information, they could get something like, I can't remember the exact step, but it was high. It was like something 80 or 90% accuracy of what your pin is based on the movement recorded by the device.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I have not experienced that. Okay, that's a fair point. So I need to add myself to the Docker group. Group add, right? Is it group add or user mod? No, it's user mod. User
mod -g
-g Docker, and then Darko, like that. Oh, sudo.
Things like that. Oh.
Ooh, no. This is fish. It doesn't work that way. Sudo user mod g Docker Darko.
No. So Helvin's asking if we need to get TFA for our ATMs. That would actually be a nice, some kind of additional security there. It just feels like a 4 or 6, well, 4, 5, or 6, depending on where you are in the world, number to secure your bank account. But that's just personal opinion.
I have to log out for a second. 1 second. I think that's one of the things that's required here is I have to log out. So Cobus, keep the people entertained.
Okay. So let's think about other solutions for this ATM. What else can you do? There are a couple of push notifications. I know locally in South Africa, for example, our 3D Secure, my bank account now it sends a push to the actual phone. You open up the app, authenticate against the app, and then just press a button saying, boom, yes. And that is how my 3D Secure works. There's also a local company that initiates a reverse USSD connection, which is a very interesting way of doing it. Because when you set up your bank account, you register your phone number, you go through a validation process and all of that. And once you want to, if you don't have the app installed, what happens is every time you interact with your bank account from anywhere, they'll initiate the connection because they know that that's the verified phone number of you on file. Now, that is good, but there is that thing where if someone does a SIM swap and they time it correctly, that it's a bit of an issue because then in theory it could get to that person. But they are also, I know that they've got something in place with fingerprinting the device to make sure that if that happens, you have to re-register the device. So there's additional security there. It's quite nice because it literally pops up a little USSD message saying you're about to do the following thing, yes or no. And you just go, well, yes or no, and then it happens. So it's quite frictionless. I actually like it.
I mean, I've never had that. At least where I live, we had no 2FA for ATMs. But I think it would be good. To be honest, I use ATMs rarely. I mean, Helvin says who uses cash anymore? Germany does. Germany has this, I would call it a problem, where they are very much dependent on cash, where they just love using paper money. So you go to a shop or you go to a restaurant and they just said, oh, no card payments, it's only cash. So not the biggest fan of that, but okay. Enable. So enable.
So Hellwind is definitely a local because he's referencing Woolies, which is the chain over here.
Oh, okay.
So where are people from? It's a good time to ask that because
yeah.
we've had some of the other people tell us before, but please tell us quickly while we wait for Darko just to fix Darko quickly.
Yeah.
Because just remember, this is why you install Darko, because it makes development easier and solves all your problems.
Yes, exactly. If you have it running. Start the status. Oh no, status. It's running with a ID.
Is it running? Yeah. No.
But Darko
Let's see quickly.
for some reason I'm not as in the member of the Docker group. I logged out and so the thing is the problem I'm facing right now. I have Docker installed, but I don't have my users set up to use Docker. So
you could always just edit groups directly in etc. Just add yourself there. Brute force it. Just saying.
So groups. What are the groups? I'm a part of that. It's cat Etsy group, right? Etsy group. There's a Docker group, and I am the member of it. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
But if I do ID, I'm not the member of the Docker group. Sudo.
Okay. While Docker quickly fixes Docker. Darker. We'll call you Darker for now.
Okay.
What shall we entertain you with? Let's quickly think. Maybe throw one or two of the questions you had earlier about terraforming. I can talk about that while we get this going.
Yeah, exactly.
So Docker is busy experimenting with Terraform at the moment.
Oh yeah,
and he's having fun.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to Terraform, I'm actually doing like a lovely series of streams where I try to learn Terraform, and I've just had a few questions to Cobus before this all started to see am I doing something right in Docker in Terraform or not. So I was doing it relatively okay. So.
And I'm quite keen to get that up and running because getting back to the question earlier we had about CDK across multiple accounts, that's something that with Terraform I've actually implemented at a couple of companies before joining AWS, so it's definitely doable. Granted, in that case, there are also ways you can do it with the CDK in the sense that it always executes using a specific AWS profile, so you could literally just prefix it with the profile you want to run it in. That's not quite what the other way of doing it is, where it runs from one account and then reaches via the CloudFormation portion of the console running and then reaching into the accounts. That's slightly different. So that's the one that the CDK is now solving, where my one is just literally hop between the accounts and mangle it that way.
Here's also one thing I find out, like, so I'm a big command line guy, so, and I like Terraform because of the command line S of it. And one thing that I might find, new users might find different, especially if they're coming in from CloudFormation, is that there's no web interface for Terraform. At least, I don't think there's a free version of it, right? So,
I forgot the Terraform Cloud that you could use. I think it's got a free tier, but yeah. But
like if you do AWS, there's no place where you upload your templates and do it like that in a very graphical way. It's all done through the command line, which is great. But for some people it may be a bit different, right? So
actually
I think this works.
Curious.
I think this will work. Let me just go and try it out. CD repos, this one.
Well, that's going on. Let me quickly look, because I'm fairly certain there was a here we go, Terraform Cloud by HashiCorp. I definitely have details. Let's quickly see what that looks like. It's been a while since I've been here. I was actually part of the when it launched way back in May of 2019, it seems. Copy. Let's see, and sorry, I will show you my screen as soon as I figure out what my mail is. Let's see. Yeah. I've got that issue where I've got, I think, 8 different Google domains, depending on what I'm busy doing, because I have plans for everything. Okay. Oh, wow, this is actually a... okay, let's share the screen quickly. Give me a sec.
Okay.
Share screen while Docker's... Chrome tab. Work. Woo, that's always awesome. Oh, wait. I think show your screen first. I just realized that this is StreamYard needs to be in the screen that you are in before it works. Oh, congratulations.
Mr. Arcane asks baldbeardedbeans.com. Well, don't register it before us, please.
I'm actually going to check now. I'm like,
It's like $5,000 for a domain. Okay, Docker works. Basically, I've had to reboot. That never worked, right? So now I have my Docker file here, right? So if I cat my Docker file, we see that is what's going to happen. So Docker build dot, and wait for the anticlimactic moment. So it's basically it's pulling all the file system layers from the internet, and it's doing all those things right now. So, and it's also streaming to StreamYard. So hopefully it doesn't croak. For some reason, like this laptop is 7 years old. And remind me, was there 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi 7 years ago?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's why.
No, that's because 5G came out with the what's it, BG and N. N was the first one, I think, with with 5G. I think
I don't have 5 gigahertz on this one, so I have to struggle with non-5G.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's I'll live, but yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so we actually had a fun discussion around that where because I'm in a house and the ceiling cavity is actually quite big. I'm able to, because I've got one of those ubiquity access points, little UFO sources. So I can actually mount it high enough on the roof that it's got line of sight into most of the rooms through the ceiling boards, which means Wi-Fi actually works quite nicely. It's only 1 or 2 spots where there are too many walls in the way.
Okay. Python is deprecated. That's fine. Python 2 is fine. It's okay. It's okay.
We're going to fix that, right?
We're going to try to fix that. But like, so Cobus has no problem with Wi-Fi. I live in, for any Germans out there, I live in this thing called the Altbau, right? The old building. And it's like an old German house built 150 years ago with the thick walls. So Wi-Fi can only, well, basically exist in this room and a bit above. So if I don't open the door, so it's a problem. Okay, so we have our Docker built. So Docker ls, right? No, Docker image ls.
PS.
No. It should not be running.
Oh.
No, Docker image ls.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
We have this image ID here. This is something we need to execute. So Docker run IT.
Maybe well, why don't you just quickly build it with the -t flag?
Can I do that? Docker.
Yeah, you can go Docker build dot space dot in dot -t and then give it a space and then give it the, let's call it the I just call it bean streaming and then colon, give it a tag.
Three
beans v1. Yeah.
3 Bs v1.
Colon v1. Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Boom. Now tag. Now if you do that list again. Yeah.
Okay, we have the.
It'll have a name.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I need to do Docker. How do you do Docker run? I want to run it locally, and I want to set up port mappings. Do you know by name, by heart, how to do port?
Yes, -net equals host. If you want to use host networking, or it's
but I want to set up
you
port
can
mapping.
do.
I want to set up.
Okay. That one is -p space local port :80.
Okay.
Something like that, if I remember correctly.
And then the name is going to be 3 Bs. Yeah, this one. Not N. What is N?
Oh, not N. IT. Interactive terminal.
I don't need the interactive terminal, but that's fine. So, okay, cool. Running on port 5000. Okay, this is running port 5000. So wait.
Oh, yes, because it's dev mode. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if I do HTTP local host 8888, I should get hello bean. Oh, it works.
Yay!
Okay, our application works. Perfect. So
cool. Let's break it.
Let's break it. How do we break it? Let's modify our Docker file.
Easy. Yeah, Python 3.
Python 3.7. Oh boy. Famous last words. Docker build the v2. No. Docker build v2. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's see if this works.
So this will now be an interesting way to do it.
The good thing about this, we have the v1 image if this one is broken, so we can always return to the v1. So
And this the second part, and this is where Docker becomes really awesome. And I did this at a couple of places where I helped them migrate from deploying directly onto the host to deploying with containers, even if it wasn't microservices, is that you can now add in your build pipeline a step for building it as it currently is with whatever old version you have. Add a second Docker file because you can specify the Docker file name, and then use that to get it up to a point where it's building, and then you can maybe even deploy a canary deploy to make sure that it's working. And once you're done with that, then you go and edit your build script again, and then boom, you flip over, and there was no downtime. You didn't have to rebuild the server, and all those fun things, or deal with what's the it's called env, pnv, or what do you use on with Python again to specify the working environment? So you specify the version of Python inside.
It's a virtual environment.
A virtual environment. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. So with Ruby, it's the rnv that you or RVM, depending on, and that tends to get very, very complicated at some point, because that handles the whole installing the gems for that version for that specific app into a folder, loading them before you load up the app, and yeah, no, not so much fun.
Okay, this seems relatively okay right now.
This
nothing is breaking yet.
Okay. I mean, and now for the thing is run it in a different port side by side. So yeah, V2. Yep, up both ones. Well, 889. Here we go.
889 like this one, and then let me do the other one, a V1, and that's gonna be 888 like that. And then this is getting complicated. Let me just reduce this a bit.
Luckily, we've got 1080p streaming now, so hopefully everybody's able to read that. So and hello, Kelo32.
Version 1 works. Yeah. Version 2 works. Hey, we upgraded Python. So welcome to upgrading Python with Cobus and Darko. So
yes.
So we made this work. We have an application that says hello bean. And that's the most important application on a Friday morning. So definitely we are ready. So we, as a company called 3Bs, which means bald bearded beans, or bald bearded beans. We as a company have our workload, our application, and we want to deploy to our customers. So what we are in the process right now is deploying this application on the cloud. So we are building our infrastructure, a container-based infrastructure, using this fancy AWS Cloud Development Kit, and our application is running in a container. So let's try to take our sample application that kind of runs. So our application, let me just see if it HTTP, it's the B something, right? There's a B, yes. So this application is the sample application. Let's take it away and let's put our application, our proper Hello Beans application, to run here. So what are the steps we need to do?
Well, let's open up our CDK file first.
Let's open up our CDK file. Let me just close this off, close all of our containers because we don't have containers. We don't need containers to run. And then go back to bean streaming here. I want to zoom in a bit so people can see. Yep. Oh boy, my Wi-Fi is struggling. So as you can see, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Hey. Yeah. I think cables my laptop. I think my cable, I don't have a cable. So a man has no network cable, but a man has a switch. So next week I will have this properly set up. So
Darko, you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how
I'm doing it wrong.
You need one of these.
Oh wow.
300 meters of Cat 6.
Yes, I have no proper cable, so give me some time. So okay, one of the things we need to do here is to have your container built, or have your container basically deployed. You need to build it. So we're not going to be pushing the image as we built it locally. We want to build this image in the cloud, right? We want to build this image in the cloud and actually push it to this repository we have stated here. So we have this repository. We want to make sure that we push this image to the repository. Now, how to do that? Let's use our pipeline. So we have a code build stage, and our code build stage does nothing in this case. So we want to make sure that we get our code build to build our application. So to basically code build is a service that builds code, or it runs arbitrary commands against an artifact you pass it on. So the artifact we're going to pass it on is going to be our repository, and our repository is going to contain these things, right? So it's going to contain basically these 3 files, or maybe something more, but it's going to contain our application, our Docker file, and our requirements. So to make code build these things, what do we need to do? How do we tell code build what to run here? So we basically need to tell code build to run Docker build and this, right? Among other things. So the best way to do it, or well, the only way to do it, is to use a build spec file. Build spec file is a YAML file contained within the same repository as your application, and that build spec file will tell code build which commands to execute. So I guess that is something we can have a look at here. Now, there's different examples of how to do code build, or how to do code build spec files, especially for Docker. I have my own, but Cobus might interject with his own version of this. So
let me get mine open ready just in case.
Okay, so bear with me while I write this build spec file here. So I'm gonna do build spec YAML. Now, I said that this is the only way to do it. Now, you in essence don't have to create a build spec file here. You can also add these commands directly to the build project, but I find this much more flexible, because in this way you are actually moving your build spec file together with your application, and you constantly know what's happening and how to do those things. So let me see. Shall I do everything? I'll do everything. Version 2.0 or version 0.2. 0.2, so that's fine. Phases. So code build actually runs in phases, and these phases are separated into like pre-build, build, and post-build commands. And these separate phases are basically the way we execute. Well, it's not the way. It's the order we execute specific commands. So, for example, in the pre-build phase, we have to do certain things to log into our code commit repository. Not code commit, sorry. Container repository, right? And we would set up some potential tags or some variables. And then lastly, in the build phase, we will build the Docker image. And in the post-build phase, we will upload that image to our repository.
Yep.
That's how I imagine it. So let's actually scaffold this out. Pre-build.
So far, we agree on how we're doing it. Okay. I would love to see the commands. Yeah.
Because I saw a few examples. So like that. Okay, perfect. So the first example in the pre-build phase, and this is where you will see it a lot, is you would run a command to log in to ECR. So there's a specific command you need to run.
So how will it know that it's a command?
Well, you do this.
No. You have to create first the command section. Yeah.
Whoops. Let me do this. Paste.
Oh, I know that one. Double P. That's the one Vim command, or one of the 5 I know.
Yes.
DD. Well, YY, PP, and DD.
Yes, exactly. PP and DD. Yeah. I think the DD command is one of the first ones I learned. Is like, you can easily delete the line. Yeah. So the command here would be like this. AWS. What is my command? ECR.
No. You don't have to wrap it. You can just directly.
Oh, can I do it like that? I always.
You only need to do that if you want to. No. You only need that if you want to evaluate it as part of another command.
No. Include email. I don't know why. I've done this. This is the example I have. Get login.
Oh wait. Right. Okay. So in this case, you do need to wrap it. The reason is that you evaluate that AWS command that brings back a Docker command to log into a remote repository using credentials provided by this ECR login. So that's why you want to wrap it. Yeah. If you just run that, it'll just output, this is what you need to run to log in.
Okay. Then I have this command as well. So actually, no, tag. I want to define a tag, and this is something I've picked up. I've used this in my previous example. I want to type it out. I don't want to copy paste it because I want you to comment on each line I do. So code build resolved source version.
It's I. It's called resolved source version.
Resolve.
There we go.
Yes. And then
yeah, there we go.
C8. That's it. So I think this is. I'm not really sure. I think this is picking up from one of the environment variables I'm setting up, or is it? Let me have a look. I am checking this thing out.
Okay,
no.
so
Yeah,
let me
this
just
is
quickly look
something.
over
This is
here. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then finally, the image URI. Is equals to like that. No, like that. Repository. URI colon. Actually, like that colon.
So for those watching this, this is when we build a Docker image, we don't want to tag it with latest or something manual, because you don't want to keep replacing the image, because then you don't know what you're deploying. So we want to actually use the build ID. The source hash from the build job. When it pulls the source, knows what hash it last built, and then we'll use that as part of the tagging strategy, so we know what it is. And then also when you tag it with to upload to a repository, you need to specify where that repository lives if you're not using Docker Hub, which is the default for Docker. In our case, you'll be using ECR, so it's a long name with account ID dot account ID dot dkr dot ecr dash region dot aws dot com slash blah blah blah.
Correct.
But we'll show you what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm actually passing the repository URI, so that's something I remember. The repository URI is a environment variable I'm passing to code build during the execution. So I'm telling, hey, this is gonna be the repository URI. Use this as a way to tag things. So I'm not sure if there's a better way to do it, but yeah.
Yeah. So just remember to do colon tag.
I'm doing it to colon tag.
Image URI. Am I just too? Okay. Let me see. Okay. So okay.
So it's passing the entire thing. So I'm basically building the image URI with the tag itself. So
okay. I'll let that one go.
Okay. Cool. And then finally, the post build commands.
That one's not going to work, eh?
Why?
What are you missing for the Docker build command? Dot.
I see. Dot. Because it doesn't know what to build.
Space dot. Yes. There we go. Not an earth
dot. Docker push. And what I'm going to push? I'm going to push image URI. That's fine. And one more thing I need to do is I'm going to just basically print something out. This is important because one of the things we're going to be passing on to code pipeline after we build this, how can we tell code pipeline what is the latest image we built, is we're going to pass a file called images.json, and this images.json is going to be interpreted by the deploy stage of the pipeline to do this, right? So here's how I did it last time. So printf, do this.
So Hellwind, while we're going along, this has got a question which says, is it best practice to use Docker if I'm building a proof of concept? The answer there is definitely yes. The main reason is, especially with proof of concepts, once you've got Docker running on your local machine, it's very easy to quickly grab, like we did now, for example, a Python pre-built image, or pick your language of choice pre-built image, and then start hacking away and building something and running it. Because if you do this now, you don't have to go through that whole chain of what I install locally, keep track of what it is you did install locally, etc. You immediately get into the habit of effectively documenting every single step. So even if you don't want to spin up all the infrastructure like we are doing here with the CDK, have at least just a Docker file, because it'll save a lot of headache later on.
Yes. So here what I've done. I'm basically passing a JSON file which will contain the name bean container definition. So that's going to be our container definition in this case. And the image URI is just going to be the image URI we're passing on line 7 thing. Basically, that's it.
Yeah.
And we're adding that to images.json. And the only thing we need to do here right now is to define an artifact. And my laptop has died. Wait. It's not. No. It's. My Wi-Fi has died. 1 second.
No Wi-Fi's.
No Wi-Fi's. Why do you work this way?
So while you're doing that, so the interesting difference between, and it's not a big one, this is literally just a preference one
Okay.
between the way I do my build file and your file at the moment, is I prefer to have the tag as a specific version, as a single
Okay.
environment variable, and the repository as a second single variable. The reason is I often print it out in different places. So then when I do want to use it explicitly, I combine them to actually, but that's just, it's a literally a preference. It's not a,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well, so I've basically in my use case I've been this is an example I pulled from somewhere way back when, and I don't have like a very strong opinion on this. I think this is a really nice way because we use well, not the structure, but I like the way that we just get the source version from code build.
No,
So
that's the
it's
same.
okay.
It's literally the same. It's just the way we're combining the things in this example versus what I normally do. And it's that smaller preference. The only other thing I would do once we get the laptop back and up and running is add some outputs. I like to put echoes in each of the build phases when they start with a timestamp. Purely just from debugging. In the past, what I found is you sometimes get to the point where you're running it and you're not really sure what is it doing anything, how far did it get. Yeah, it's once again preference.
That's fine.
Artifacts.
Artifacts are not supposed to sit there. They're supposed to sit. Come on, don't auto format JSON for me. JYAML, please, like that. Okay.
JYAML. That sounds like new standard.
That's a horrible standard. And files. It's going to be images.json.
Would YAML be then indented JSON?
JSON where you have to have indents. Oh, the worst of the world.
Imagine that.
So the artifacts thing on line 16 is basically we're telling code build, hey, output this. And then this file will be actually taken up by code pipeline as we go along.
Yeah.
So let's actually do some prints, right? Let's do echo like this, and I like to do this logging into ECR.
So this is where you start making it a bit more fun.
Okay.
Emojipedia.com. I found that, for example, I go grab some emojis and always put that in as part of the important step, so they just stand out on the console with color.
Really? wait. We'll do that. Building image. And then last but not least is uploading Emojipedia, you said, right?
I think it's Emojipedia. I normally just search for a specific emoji / name. Oh, now you can see us.
I'm gonna remove the matrix bit, like that, like that.
That was just a quick view of what StreamYard looks like for us.
Yes. So back to this Emojipedia. So does it? You have to use like proper emoji codes, or you can just paste the emojis?
No, you paste the emojis, and then they'll pop up like that in the code build logs. Yes, I'm opening up a whole new world for you. And then what we're going to start doing soon is, you do know that AWS resource names can have emojis as well, and they do render in the console.
Yes, that's something I know.
That's actually
well, actually, that's
question.
something you told me last time. So logging into.
Let me see. Oh boy. We do have an emoji for bean. Oh no.
For bean.
No, not Dango, burrito, and paw prints.
No. Crane? Is it crane? No, it's not. Yes, building construction. This one is the one I want.
Awesome. Hit the copy button.
Welcome to emojis with Cobus and Darko.
Yes.
B. Why is B here? Please.
No, you paste it in space. Yeah, it's
weird.
But I think VI is struggling a little bit with it.
Yeah.
We can fix this later. Don't worry.
I don't think Mr. Brand Molinar thought of using emojis.
So just when you use the site, there's a handy little copy button down there that'll automatically copy to the clipboard.
Okay.
That saves you with trying to highlight this stuff.
Oh, okay. Wait. Copy, please. No, not that. Why do you do Doesn't work.
Let's leave it like that. I'll open it up in a proper text
I-
editor like no.
Cobus, let's not have a religious discussion here, please.
Oh yes. Although it's religious or political.
It's both. Come on, delete that and do that. Perfect. Okay, almost there.
Cool.
Cool.
And uploading has to be a rocket, of course.
A rocket, of course, rocket.
That poor laptop is struggling. I can hear the fans going.
Yeah, it's trying to lift off.
How appropriate.
Yeah.
Cool.
Copy. And then I just
okay. And as you can see, like with any project, we're spending a lot of time on the things that are super important to get the feature out.
Yes. So because if you don't have emojis in your build log, what are you doing with your life? I mean,
correct. Yeah. It's
I don't understand that. Okay, let's make this uniform.
I was about to say, Darko, you managed to get 3 different standards for the start of this log. Space emoji, space emoji, no space, no space, no space. It's impressive.
Image.
Oh, okay. So this is a fun one for our other viewers. So Helwind is from down here in South Africa, where we've got a thing called load shedding, which is a euphemism for our energy providers' inability to provide enough electricity due to maintenance and some other issues. Not going to get into the politics of that, but basically at certain points where we go past peak demand generation, certain neighborhoods get shut off for a period of 2 to 2.5 hours. And we even have applications that tell us, oh, by the way, your power is going to be out in the next X amount of time. And then you sit here in the dark waiting for it. So that's why the comment about the load shedding.
Oh, wow. This emojis are destroying them. I can't do this.
Leave it as is. Leave it as is.
Okay.
Darko, let's just go with this. Yes, okay. This is fine. This is fine. We can edit that directly in GitHub if we need to. Okay. Let us.
So, for everybody, this will build our Docker image with some broken emojis. That's fine. What do we need to do now? Fix mics. What's the problem with mics? Is there a problem with the audio? Are we too loud? Or okay. I'll be quiet.
Cool.
So we need to do more things here. So we need to work on our build.
We need to get the build stage going first.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's get the build going
here, but we need to define environment variables because if you recall, I've set up an environment variable here. Actually, I'm looking for an environment variable called repository URI, right? So basically, I need to pass the URI of this repository that I'm creating online somewhere or the other.
Okay, cool. Yes. Sorry, Mysticos. Let's confirm that the audio is now good.
Is it good? Okay,
thank you. As with all good things that you try turning it off and on, and it's back to good again.
Exactly. So let's leave emojis for now, and let's open up. What were we looking for? Yes.
The URI.
CDK
for our
code build. So we need to get the environment variables first.
Yep.
I promise by next time I'm going to be using a network cable for this. And we were discussing this today, Cobus and I. I have a lot of electronics on this side of the room. So there's a bunch of routers, network equipment, computers. I have an old Amiga monitor and smart home things. And I have so much radio interference here that it's most likely causing problems with this older laptop and its Wi-Fi. So I don't know why, but yeah. So we need a code build project like that, and we need to define environment variables. So let's have a look at the code build project and build props environment variables. So it's going to be a map string build environment variable. So let's see how this looked like. How do you? So it's a specific build environment variable. So value any type build environment variable. Okay. So how would this look like? So if I would go back, it's called environment variables. So let's go to code build and go environment variables like that. And I would do this and that, and let's define those things. So how would this have to look? Build environment variables. It's a type of code build environment variable. What would be the best way to define this? Okay. So if I do code build.
So while Darko is quickly building that out, I just want to check it's the one. Your question, is that in relation to Helwin's comment about Hectic to have one every day out of interest? Cool. And also, just for those following us, we are uploading the code. Darko is currently doing all the admin for us, so he's uploading it to his GitHub repo, which is awesome. And I pasted the link there for those who want to.
Yeah, it's all going to be available there, so you can check it out. So there's currently a repo. It's a bit mess. It's a bit of a mess. It's currently just the repository of CDK, but we're going to make it better so you have all code, including the application code and all the things you want.
Yeah.
So I am not really sure how this should look. So let's. Can I just do value? Environment variable. Can I do? How does this function? Let me find a great example. Maybe there is an example on.
Maybe at the top of the code build run.
Yeah. Sometimes there's
normally one you can copy and paste.
So there's a build phase, all those things, source, Bitbucket source artifacts, code pipeline, caching, local caching, environment. Aha.
Here we go.
No, no, it's the environment variables. Property, environment, build image, secrets manager, credentials, events.
Wait, go up. There was something there that looked like credentials being piped in as variables. A little bit up. There we go. Stop.
No, these are being.
Oh, it's a block. Okay, no, okay.
No, it's not.
No, sorry, I was hoping it was actually piped in as variables. Let us see.
See, this is a build spec file. I don't want to use a build spec file here. Location.
Yeah, we don't want to define that because we want to keep the build spec inside the repo so we can also version control it. I see. I'm assuming that Sweaty has now got 8 different question marks. So quickly for those people that have joined us a bit later, this is a session we run twice a week on Mondays and Fridays, and we are in the process of building up a container application using Amazon ECS, and we are defining everything using infrastructure as code via AWS CDK. And we are now at the stage where we have got our basic infrastructure up and running with a default container, and we are busy adding a code build job as well as a code pipeline deployment pipeline, because we've got a basic Flask app in Python that we want to replace our existing container with. So the intention of what we're trying to complete today is to get to a point where we can make a file change and then push it, and that will then result in a build and deployment of the container. Correct. So what we're trying to do now is to look at how to inject the environment variable for our... what we can do maybe is, why don't we just pop it in by hand at the moment inside the build spec file, and then we leave this for something we resolve next week. Yeah.
But I can't. My only environment variable is a URI of my repository, and I don't know URI of my repository until it's out, right?
Unless you put it as an output in the CDK.
Let me try to figure this out. I'm sure that there's a great example of this somewhere. One of the great ways I found to do this is just to GitHub. Just put GitHub here, and we're gonna find it somewhere. Somebody has built something, maybe, hopefully.
Cool. Let me see if I can find it. If not, this sounds like a great short article to write. Shotgun.
Yeah. Or if nobody has ever built this, or there's no snippet, I'm gonna make it available so everybody can see it. So building CI/CD pipeline.
Let's quickly have a look here. This is actually very fascinating.
Thank you for all the people who do this for free. So let's see my code. It's npm. That's fine. Empty pipeline. Okay. Source action.
Let's have a look here. Let's have a look here. There we go. And we are not yet. Wait 10 seconds, then we are on the hour. Darko runs fast. He's living in the future, people.
Yes. There's no environment.
You can tell us. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see quickly. Sorry, we are both. If anybody actually knows in the chat and wants to send us some help, then please do. This is part of what these sessions are about, is to interact with you and see if we can learn from you as well.
Exactly. And we're trying to.
So what we're trying to find at the moment is how to inject an environment variable into a code build job using CDK.
So yeah, I see that it uses us. Wait.
Basically, we know how. It's just the syntax, I think, that we're looking for.
Yeah, the syntax I'm trying to figure out, because here's the thing: I suck at the TypeScript, so I'm trying to figure out how this actually should look. So looking at the project props, one of the things that it sees, it's a map/build environment variable. Now,
wait, curly brace instead of square brace, curly brace, and then key value. No. Isn't it?
Could be. I don't know. So
let's try that. Maybe. Yeah. Turn that into a curly brace, and then we do the environment variables. Yeah, like you had it. Yeah, that just becomes curly brace.
Mm-hmm.
And then try key value. Key in the value.
Foo bar. Right. Yeah. Will this work? It doesn't work.
To see?
Type foo string is not the symbol to type name string. Build environment variables.
Maybe remove. Don't make the first one a string. Sorry, I should stop bouncing.
Well, it has
actually,
to be
give me a second.
No, the first one should actually be string. So, string and build environment variable.
Boom, boom. Cool. Let me just double check here. I have some code locally as well. I want to see if the Terraform version looks the same, because that sometimes gives you hints.
So this fails.
We are both Googling a lot.
So name string.
Why is this not working?
Oh wait,
here you go.
Name.
Just slow.
And this should be not bar, but it should be code build.
Oh, okay.
Environment. Huh?
Oh, sorry, continue.
Build environment variable. I think it should be this. Because looking at this thing, so it needs to be a string and a build environment variable. And the build environment variable is actually being built from this. This.
Yeah, I was saying the same here now. It's that you need to find that it's, or define that it's an environment variable. So that might be the part.
Would this work? It doesn't exist.
No, what it could be is just go back. It might be use what you have there, except put the foo part inside and make it a 2-parameter method that you're calling.
But no, this one should not be. There's only a value and that's a type. So I should not be able to do this. So, okay, let's figure this one out. Build environment doesn't, okay, this doesn't exist in code build. How does this not exist in code build? Am I using the right version? So this should be the one. And then this one.
I'm quickly also scanning a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Environment : curly brace.
Environment.
So instead of environment, yes. Here's the thing: environment variables are subsection inside environment, because in environment you specify things like the build container and the list of environment variables.
But you can do that.
So
you can also okay, I get it.
Yeah. So inside there now specify environment capital V variables.
Okay.
Yeah, like that : and now do the I think it'll be curly brace key value. That part I'm not 100% sure of, but the rest here looks... I'm looking at some CloudFormation actually for this.
Okay.
Is it not happy with that?
No, it's not.
Let us see quickly.
Because here's the thing: like looking at environment, you can use environment variables within the environment scope, but you can also do it outside. You can do it on a project level, so it doesn't have to be. You can do build environment for sure, like that. That works. But it's not required, right? here's when you could do environment variables, but you use the same thing as well. So it's map string build environment variable. Now, this is the thing I'm trying to figure out. How do you define this interface build environment variable? Is there a, oh, okay, cool. Let me GitHub, Amazon EKS, CD, CI/CD code build. Let me try to find it. Thank you, Mr. Edwin Rod. AWS, or actually Amazon, EKS, CI/CD code build, CDK, GitHub.
Sorry. Apologies for the vibrating camera. When I start to think, my knees start vibrating and I'm sitting on a wooden floor. So then we get this, oh, the world is shaking. Don't worry.
So CDK, there's the guy. Hopefully there's an example CDK stack.
Cool, let's have a look. Yeah, you see it's in there.
Environment build.
Boom, there.
Environment variable. There we go. This is how.
So that's what it looks
cluster
like.
name and value is.
So close, so close.
So close. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's
okay.
do it like
that helps. Cool.
So let me remove this and remove this and this.
No, that stays.
This. It doesn't have to be within the environment. So I need to define a thing called ECR. No, image URI. Is that image URI or what is the variable? Repository URI. Sorry.
Yeah, your
repository URI. And then this thing is actually under another set of curly braces, and it's gonna have a value of ECR, or actually, how did we call it? Container repo. Repo dot repository URI. Do your work. Why? Oh. It's used before its declaration. Ugh, really? So.
Oh, this is interesting. I didn't realize that's.
I didn't realize. I thought it would not care. But
no, but if you think about it,
maybe it
does make sense.
Maybe it's just TypeScript being TypeScript. So if I npm run build, no, not that build.
So what I think is happening there is, because remember, this is like normal coding. It actually needs the precedence of your commands does actually make a difference, because you can't reference a variable that hasn't been defined yet at that point in time in the code.
Yeah.
So this is one of the interesting changes then, or differences between doing it this way versus Terraform.
Yeah.
Would you be able to do it this way in CloudFormation? Does it figure out the dependency graph?
Yeah, in CloudFormation you can, because it doesn't really care about. It can understand what the dependency is. So it did fail before it's used before its declaration. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, that makes sense from a coding point.
Then let's move things around. I mean, you wouldn't do this all in a single file. You would do this in multiple places. So you would potentially.
That sounds like an episode.
Yeah, exactly. So stay tuned for that. That is something that we're going to be doing as we go along. So this can be one of the first things we also create. So I'll just paste it in here, because this is static content. Again, repositories should actually not be created like this, because you need to keep your static persistent data like a code repository in a separate stack. So currently this is not up to best practice. So please ignore this for now. We just want to make it work as you do with any proof of concept. So
and then we'll refactor.
And then we'll refactor, because why not? So npm run build, and this should hopefully work now. There's a few more things we need to work. It's not just this. It's just that we figured out. And thank you, Mr. Edwin Rod. You've been a great help. So, and this is my main concern about a lot of the infrastructure as code tooling out there. We talk about people that you should use infrastructure as code. You should absolutely do that, but we need more examples. And people ask, hey, can you give me a code example so I can build off top of it? And I am looking for the same thing as you are right now. So I'll make sure to have this very much public, and everybody can access this and use it in the future. So perfect. The build has succeeded. So we are good on that. Okay, perfect. So what else? So we added that. So just let me have a look. Do I have anything else I'm passing here besides that one? No. No.
I would say at this point, let's make a commit and push, and then also apply infrastructure, because we've got about 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we can at least build our container.
Well, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, why not? So let me go to create this new one, and then npm run build is done, but we can do cdk deploy.
And boom.
Boom. Now nothing is going to happen right now. It's going to create it's going to create a repository and all this. Well, it's already created, so it's going to make just changes to our code build phase. The only thing we're going to have to do after this is we're going to have to actually commit our code, this code here, to our repository somewhere. So that's a separate step we need to do.
So while we wait for this, what we can maybe do in the text file is maybe start splitting, put a nice fat comment there saying these will form part of the main CDK stack, and these are the application CDK stack resources. Because if you think about that, the actual repository that we create in code commit, as well as this ECR repo, is something that shouldn't live directly next to that. So maybe we can do that while we just wait for this to apply quickly.
Where do you mean to put the comment? You mean in the code?
Yeah, in the code so long, because I mean, we are going to be waiting for a minute or two while this rolls out. Because what we did just now is at the top, they define is, so the VPC definitely won't live with the app. The container repo won't. And then also below there, we would create the code commit repository for the code. Yeah. So what I was actually thinking is that's also good, but actually put a block in saying like 2 or 3 lines with a comment saying above this will go to the other repo and below this will go to the application repo.
I get it.
Yeah, cool.
So...
yeah, that one still needs to stay as well. So below code commit. There we go. Cool. Yeah. You should have gone with everything must go.
Everything must go.
And then in brackets, to its own repo.
Yeah.
Meszaros, where are you actually based at the moment if you're not in Cape Town? Because are you in the Republic of Joburg?
Joburg.
It's quite funny. For those not familiar with South Africa, we've got a couple of major cities, Cape Town and Joburg being I think the 2 biggest ones. Sydney, wow. And Cape Townians have got this interesting attitude, perspective / everything is either Cape Town or Joburg, even if you're like 100 kilometers outside of Cape Town, where Joburg is actually 1,600 something kilometers from Cape Town. We just view this as, the little Republic of Cape Town. Everything else is, Joburg.
Okay.
Oh, well.
So our pipeline has failed. That's fine. That should be okay. I just want to see our code build job. Is it set up in the way I want it to be? So
let's have a look.
Looking at environment.
Did we specify the code commit repository in our code build job?
Nope. It's all being passed through the pipeline. So that's why you don't have to do that. Yep. So where are the build details?
So
environment variables. So no environment variables in this project. What? Say what?
And we did finish running the CDK.
We did.
Did it show us? Did it show us what it was going to change or not?
No, CDK npm run build. Let's see what happens. We need some music in the stream.
Yes, we do, definitely. It's one of the things we miss. Let's actually see quickly. Maybe I can fix that. Although, actually, no, I was about to put something from my phone from... what do I use? Brain's freezing. Spotify. But I realized that we want to be very, very careful with what music you stream. Otherwise, you get takedown strikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can't just put any music here.
So there are no differences. Vijay STSA, please share your thoughts. What are the developer tools I should have in my Ubuntu laptop? Cobus, do you have the banner for this one?
Yes, because I did set it up. Don't worry. Boom. Yeah, so slightly more serious on that. It really depends on what you want to do with your system and what it is, the type of problem things you're dealing with. Okay. So for that, what I would recommend is Nmap, Netstat, Telnet, Trying to think now. A lot of the other ones are installed by default. Okay, so quickly run through them. So Nmap is a port scanner, so you're able to figure out which ports on any specific machine is open. If you need to troubleshoot that kind of thing, Telnet allows you to just verify, or just NC, which is Netcat, I believe, allows you to be able to just check if a port is open, because it's something you do very, very often. Oh, it is there. Awesome.
It's actually in the build action, not in the build project. So I need to move that. That's one of the problems.
Okay.
I've that you can technically do it through this as well, I believe, but I'm not sure how that would function. So keep going. I'm just gonna fix
Okay,
this
cool. No worries.
you.
I'll actually add a banner. And one of my favorite one is Netstat LNTP. Let me pop it on the screen quickly. And that banner is this one. So what Netstash does is tells you about things listening on ports, or how the ports are used on your machine. And what the L does is for listening ports only. So in other words, things that allow incoming connections. N tells it to list the number of the port. T specifies you're only looking for TCP ports that are open. It's depending on, you can look for TCP or UDP depending on what you're doing. And then I always forget what the P is for. But what this will do is it'll give you, actually, Darko, maybe run that on your laptop unless you've got something weird running.
Sure. Give me a second while I do the CDK diff thing.
Okay.
Actually,
And then what it tells you is,
let me do it better. On something that's actually running something. So
yeah.
Did I do the correct password? Did I? Come on.
Maybe your Pi is warming up.
It's not a Pi. It's my Wi-Fi died. My Wi-Fi died again, I think. Because I can see it on my laptop.
So that was the one. Then the other one you definitely want to get familiar with is DIG, because that allows you to do DNS lookups. So you can look up see, for example, if there's a CNAME record, what the IPs behind the CNAME are, and just in general troubleshoot DNS. What else? Then Docker is a good one, because a lot of things use Docker nowadays. Get familiar with that.
Docker is one of the things you really need to try and have in your tool chain, because if you're gonna do proof of concept build applications, even if your application does not run within containers, it will help you do things quite a bit better. Turn off. Come on, Wi-Fi. Why do you Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so the Wi-Fi is not happy at the moment. I will send you some cables, Darko.
You know what? I'm actually gonna switch and do this from my desktop PC or something like that, because I'm struggling with this. I have some cables. I have a switch, as you've seen. So okay.
The question is, does your laptop have a network?
It has
network port.
It's that old. It has an Ethernet port. Or I'll just go ahead and use my other favorite laptop, but it just has a small resolution, but that's okay as well. Okay, we are back. Cool. We are back, and let's do this, and bam, and let me SSH to this. Don't die. Okay, netstat sudo netstat tulpn. I use tulpn because that's how I learned it.
It's often actually muscle memory.
It's muscle memory, so I call it tulipan. So this is what you see: 22.8.1.3 mosquito. I have a bunch of things. It's actually my small server running a bunch of Docker containers for home automation. I have DNS as well, or my Raspberry Pi or Pi-hole thing. So DNS ad blocker. So yeah, this is how we should.
So just quickly to wrap that up before we go back to our code is what you can see there. If you look at the first line is under local address, it says 000.22, which means it listens on every Ethernet device, or actually every network device, not just Ethernet, on port 22. Otherwise, you can actually spin things up to run on just a specific IP. So only if you've got more than one network adapter, or if you specify the IP, it doesn't run on loopback, etc. And this allows you to see what's running, what's listening on what port. So it's an easy way to see what's happening on a server and what's going on there.
Correct. Okay, back to this thing. So my CDK diff works now. It's actually going to deploy something, CDK deploy, and we should be good now. We should have these changes deployed. Now, while this thing is deploying, one of the things we can have a look into here is, Okay, let me open this again. Thank you. Don't scream. So we need to add a deploy phase. So it's not just a matter of doing it just like that, of building it. We also need to deploy these things. So the proper way to deploy these things would be to use code pipelines deploy action. So to do that, let's actually add the deploy action. So we have the build stage. Now let's do some how do we call it? Deploy action and stage. So we're not going to be using code deploy here. We're actually going to be using something, basically CDK's deploy function, or not CDK's, code pipelines deploy function.
Code pipeline, yeah.
CDK code pipeline. Now I don't know it by heart, so I know I've did it through CloudFormation. I've never done it through CDK, so let me just see how this actually works. So it will have to actually be an action. Is it an? It's a build action. So it's going to be a code pipeline action here. So if we, it's not going to be this, so we're going to have to go code pipeline action because it's a different module. And it's going to be code pipeline deploy ECS deploy action. I think this is the one.
There we go.
Right. Yeah. So let me just go to overview. I think there's a few examples here that we can see. Code deploy. Okay, ECS. There you go. So this is going to be the deploy stage, and it's going to be this action. So one of the things we can do here is we can just take this. Fine. We have
copy and paste like all great developers.
Exactly, but not from what is it called? Not from Stack Overflow. So deploy stage, it's going to be new. Actually, it's called how's it called? Code pipeline actions. So this is the problem. Go back. Change in Word. Okay, code pipeline actions like that. ECS deploy action. The service is, what is the name of the service we created? The service is actually web app ECS service.
Yeah.
It's web app ECS service, web app ECS service, like that. The input is build output. Did we define a build output? What is this?
Yeah, we did. Line 66.
Line 66, outputs, build output. That's very cool. Input is build output, and image file is going to be image def, not JSON, but it's going to be image or images. How did we define it? Images.json. Images.json. So this is the thing that we defined in the artifact from there. But another problem here. This is defined after this. So course of action here. Let's move all of our ECS stuff before we do that.
Do the build job, yeah.
Yes. Let me go here. Let's do it before the pipeline. So paste like that, and then go forward, and remove this thing. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we just have to fix the indentation there on line 102 to, it needs to be indented one from 102 all the way down to the curly brace.
Does it? Oh, yeah.
Yes, stage name is, that needs to be indented once. Including the bottom one, because remember, there we go, there we go. Daar zijn. As we say in Afrikaans. Daar zijn.
Okay. And I think this should be fine. Deploy stage, pipeline, add stage.
For those curious, I'm teaching Darko Afrikaans. You can already say thank you.
Bye, donkey. Okay, the deploy stage, but it's not used. That's fine. I don't really care. It should not be used. Okay, so this has been deployed. If I do again as npm run build, and once this is done, once I can confirm that this will work-ish, we're gonna slowly be ending the stream because we're coming up to the hour-and-a-half mark. Today we spent a lot of time on actually troubleshooting things. We're trying to figure out some code, which is fun, and we also try to add some features to our pipeline. Basically, add the container building part. Input image file can be provided only by the ECS. Input of image file can be provided. Okay, bad example. If your file name is not image definitions, use image file property and leave the input property. Okay, so then we can just remove this. Read the quotes, or actually, let me do this. So it has, if your image, if your file name is not image definitions.json, use the image file property. So we're basically doing this image file property, or we can change the file name to image definitions.json. But let's see if this works. CDK diff. Once we deploy, we're just going to do a quick wrap up what we did today. Just kind of explain what has been done. CDK deploy. Now, while this is deploying, let's talk about what did we do today. So the crux of today was basically us building an application. How do you call it? The 3Bs application, the bald bearded beans. Basically, an application written in Python. It's going to simple hello world application that just spits out an API. This is an application we, as the 3Bs company, want to build and deploy to AWS, right? So it's a simple application written in Python. To be smart about it, we released it in a container. So we did that with our Docker file, where we said, hey, use Python, install the requirements, all these things, and basically create a Docker image from this, right? Now, to have this working on AWS in our pipeline, what we needed to do is we needed to add the ability to our pipeline to build this Docker image and upload it to our Elastic Container Repository. We did that with the build spec, or actually we did it with Code Build, which is a service that builds code, among other things. In essence, this service runs arbitrary commands against an artifact you give it, and it spits something out. So to define what those commands that should be executed, we created a build spec file, and the build spec file you see here is not showing up because my Wi-Fi died. Oh no. Okay.
Next episode requires Wi-Fi setup.
Next episode requires cables. So let me try to illustrate this. So we created a build spec file in which we defined a few things. In this build spec file, we defined things such as, there we go, as logging into a container repository, actually building and tagging that image properly. So we are running the Docker build command basically with a specific tag we want. And then finally, we are passing back to the code pipelines, to our CI/CD pipeline, images.json file, which is going to be an information which image is going to be used for which container definition. And basically, it provides a string of, hey, this is the URL of the image you need to pull from ECR for this to work. So, and last but not least, what we did in the CDK part is we've actually just said, hey, this is going to be some environment variables. This is how you connect the build part inside of your pipeline. And we added the deploy part, which is a native code pipeline deploy action to ECS, where you say, take the images.json file from code build and deploy it to this cluster. Yeah. That's it. So we don't see it work right now because laptop problems. But next time, which is actually going to be, are we skipping Monday next time, right? Yeah.
Yes, we're skipping Monday. Yes. It's a public holiday in South Africa.
Yeah. Monday is going to be skipped next time. So next Friday, in a week, do join us again, where we try to tackle more of this. And also, all this code is going to be available in the GitHub repo. Let me find it. I want to share it right now, so you can. Here it is. Beanstream CDK infra. So I actually may build a better repo. So this is the current repo, but I'm going to be changing this. So this is the current repo with the code that exists from last time. The current code is not there. It's going to be there as soon as I fix my problematic laptop here. So as soon as that's done, I'm going to be pushing it there as well. So you can check out the code there, everything we've done. And yeah, join us next Friday as we tackle this once more and finally get our application running on the cloud and doing it better. And then once that is done, I guess we're going to move on to making it better, multiple stacks, actually properly architected. Introducing
and take Terraform for a spin, because I would love to show you how to do all of this in Terraform.
Absolutely. Cool. So that's our time. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Cool. Thank you for all the chats. We appreciate all the comments and everything you have. Feel free to reach out to us on some social media platforms, which Cobus may just pop into the screen right now. And yeah, if not, we will see you next Friday.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And now cue the outro music.
Cue the outro music. Is there music for the outro?
Not yet. We want to get it, but we will.
We want to. We're gonna end the stream right now.